My name is Clara Winslow, and I'm 35 years old. If you'd asked me half a year ago to describe my life, I would have said it was steady, not glamorous, not tragic, just solid in a way that made sense to me. I worked as a senior analyst at a mid-sized financial firm, made a comfortable salary, and lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with a dishwasher that kicked on automatically at 12:01 a.m. to catch off-peak power rates. Every Sunday at 5 p.m., my budget spreadsheet updated itself, color-coded, formulas locked, projections tucked neatly into hidden tabs. That sheet was my ballast. As long as the numbers lined up, I felt like my life did too. At the center of that steady life was my boyfriend of 7 years, Caleb Lawson. Caleb was the kind of man people noticed. Not because he was the loudest in the room, but because he was easygoing, easy smiling, easy to like. He worked in marketing, the guy who could turn a boring product launch into an actual story. We met at a friend's barbecue, shared a paper plate and a joke about the playlist, and somehow never really stopped sharing things after that. 2 years into dating, he moved into my place temporarily while his lease ended. His toothbrush never left. My closet rearranged itself around his suits and hoodies. Temporary quietly became permanent, the way slow leaks become water damage if you don't look too closely. His family loved me, or at least I thought they did. His dad, Robert, used to clap a huge hand on my shoulder and say, "Now this one keeps you grounded, Caleb." His mom, Patricia, would send me recipes and text, "Clara, I'm double batching the lasagna. Come over if you're free." His younger sister, Lindsay, followed me on Instagram and commented things like goals under my meal prep posts. They invited me to Thanksgiving, to Christmas, to random Sunday dinners. At one point, Patricia squeezed my hand over the sink while we were rinsing dishes and said, "You're basically family already." I believed her. So when we started planning a big Maui vacation with them, Robert and Patricia's retirement celebration trip, it felt like proof that I belonged. We spent 4 months talking about it. Group texts about snorkeling tours, screenshots of the rental house with the infinity pool, jokes about who was going to burn first under the sun. I put in for the time off, rearranged a project at work so it wouldn't collide. So when my phone buzzed on a Thursday afternoon, 2 days before departure, and I saw Caleb's name, I wasn't expecting a landmine. Caleb: "Hey, so change of plans for the Maui trip." Me: "What's up?" Caleb: "My parents think it's best if it's just family this time. They want it drama-free and relaxing. You understand, right?" At first, I assumed it was a joke. I waited for the follow-up text, the LOL or the explanation. It didn't come. I typed and deleted 3 different responses before I finally sent. Me: "Drama-free? What drama?" The dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Caleb: "You know how you and my dad kind of got into it last month about the election stuff? He's still touchy. Mom thinks it's just better to keep things simple." The election stuff he was referring to was a 15-minute conversation at dinner where Robert and I disagreed about local policies. It was calm, no raised voices. We ended with, "Guess we'll see how it plays out," and passed the green beans. Hardly what I would call drama. Me: "Caleb, we planned this together. I already took the week off." Caleb: "I know and I'm sorry, but it's their trip, their rental house. I can't really argue with them. We'll do our own trip later, yeah? Just us." Just us. The same words he used when I offered to invite my sister to Thanksgiving, and he said it should be just us and his parents. The same words he used when I asked if we could split holidays between families. Neat, tidy walls he could hide behind. Me: "So you're going without me." Caleb: "It's just a week, Clara. Don't make this bigger than it is." I sat there on the couch, phone in my hand, feeling something inside me tilt. It wasn't anger, not yet. More like the feeling when a puzzle piece finally clicks into place and the picture isn't what you thought. The image sharpens, and you wish you could go back to when it was still blurry. Me: "Understood. Thanks for being honest. Love you." I added the "love you" out of habit. He sent back a heart emoji. I didn't respond. Here's what Caleb didn't know. 3 weeks earlier, his laptop had been on the dining table, updating some bloated software. Mine was running a backup. I grabbed his to print a document for work, something quick, when a messenger notification slid into the corner of the screen. Real family. The preview showed my name. I'm not proud of what I did next, but I also won't pretend I wouldn't do it again. I clicked. At first I thought it was some kind of extended family chat. Cousins, grandparents, the whole Lawson tree. It wasn't. It was 4 people: Robert, Patricia, Lindsay, and Caleb. I scrolled up looking for context. The further I scrolled, the colder I felt. Patricia, is Clara coming to Easter? Caleb, unfortunately, yeah. She's been clingy about family stuff lately. Patricia, just seat her at the end. She talks too much. Anyway, Robert, you good for 2 p.m.? Robert, girls got opinions on everything. Exhausting. Lindsay, why are you even still with her? LOL. Caleb, she's stable. I wanted stability. She takes care of everything. Bills, planning, all that. Lindsay, that's so depressing. Caleb, it is what it is. Not everyone marries for passion. I stopped breathing for a second. Then I kept scrolling. Comments about me being too sensitive when I got upset that no one remembered my birthday last year. They remembered. They just didn't care enough to do anything. Jokes about my spreadsheets, my control freak meal prep, the way I tried to include my own family in holiday plans. Robert called me soft more than once. Patricia wrote that I was not really the kind of woman she pictured for Caleb. Caleb agreed, laughed, added his own jokes. There was one message from him to Lindsay, sent a couple months ago, that I kept coming back to, like pressing on a bruise. Caleb, sometimes I look at her and feel nothing, like I'm living with a roommate I'm financially tied to. I took screenshots, dozens of them. It felt impossible not to, like I was preserving evidence of a life I hadn't realized I was living in. I didn't confront him. Not then. I saved them to a folder I labeled with something boring and forgettable, buried inside my documents. Then I watched, waited. Told myself that if this was who he really was with them, it would come out. The Maui text was my confirmation. That Thursday evening, after I typed understood, I opened the folder and counted them. 43 screenshots. I organized them chronologically so the timestamps told their own story. No guessing, no cherry picking. Just their words, in order. Caleb came home around 7. He was in a great mood, talking about packing, about the beaches, about a fancy dinner reservation his mom had booked. You're not mad, right? He asked, folding shirts on our bed. About what? The trip. You seemed weird over text. I'm fine, I said. The lie tasted like metal. Good, he said, relieved. Because Mom already thinks you're, sensitive. He shut his suitcase with a zip that sounded too much like a door closing. Friday morning, his flight was at 10. He woke up early, humming under his breath as he tossed toiletries into his bag, talking about snorkeling like I wasn't supposed to be there with him. I helped him carry his suitcase downstairs. I'll miss you, he said, kissing my cheek. It felt practiced, like clocking out. Have fun, I said. I'll text you when I land. Sure. I watched the Uber pull away, then went back upstairs, shut the door, and opened my laptop. Robert's email was easy to find. I pulled up an old thread about a football game he'd sent tickets for, hit reply, deleted the previous text. Subject, you should see this before the trip. Robert, I typed, I think you should know what's been said about me, and about you. I found these by accident, but I think you deserve the full context before spending a week together. I've attached screenshots of your family group chat. Read them whenever you're ready. Clara. I attached all 43 images. Clicked send. Then I did the same with Patricia. Then Lindsay. By the time Caleb's plane landed in Maui, my phone buzzed with a text from him. Picture of the ocean out the window. Blue and endless. Caleb. Made it. So beautiful already. I didn't reply. At 4:15 p.m., my time, my phone lit up with a call. Robert. I let it ring until it went dark. He called again. Then Patricia. Then Lindsay. I ignored all of them. At 4:47 p.m., Caleb's name appeared on my screen. I answered. What the hell did you do? He demanded, his voice shaking. Not sad shaking, angry shaking, the way a window rattles in a storm. I took a breath, feeling the calm settle over me, like water in a glass finally gone still. I forwarded some screenshots, I said, that's all. And somewhere in the background I could hear it. The raised voices, the chaos, the sound of a drama-free vacation cracking open. What the hell did you do? Caleb's voice was trembling, clipped by the kind of fury that comes when someone has lost control of a narrative they thought they owned. I could hear chaos behind him, voices overlapping, luggage wheels rattling, someone shouting, someone else crying. Airport acoustics make everything sound more dramatic, more public, more humiliating. Caleb, I said evenly. I forwarded some screenshots. That's it? You went through my private messages. I saw a notification pop up. I read what was there. I paused. And I saved everything. Sue me. You blindsided my family. My dad is losing his mind. He's screaming at my mom. She's screaming at me. Clara, what is wrong with you? I leaned back on the couch, staring at the ceiling. You all talked about me for 8 months. I didn't say a word. But sure, let's pretend I created the problem. You did create the problem. You just nuked the entire trip. We can't even leave the damn airport because everyone's fighting. Sounds dramatic, I said. This is not funny. You're right, I said quietly. It's not. Neither were the jokes you all made about me. A long silence. Long enough that I could hear the echo of Robert shouting something like, "Ungrateful," in the background. Caleb must have walked away from the cluster of voices because the background noise dulled. You had no right, he said finally, his voice tight. None. I had every right, I said. You're my boyfriend. They're my almost-in-laws. And you all spent months mocking me while I treated you like family. He inhaled sharply. Those messages were private. They were cruel. There's a difference. Another silence. The kind where both people know the truth is sitting in the middle of the conversation like a third party, and neither knows how to push it aside. My dad won't let me in the rental car, Caleb said finally, his voice lower, smaller. He told me to figure out my own ride to the house. Then figure it out. Clara, his voice cracked with frustration. Can you please stop acting like you didn't just blow up my entire family? Caleb, your family blew themselves up, I said. I just turned on the lights. He hung up. For the next 3 hours, my phone vibrated nonstop. 26 calls, rapid-fire texts, half-written apologies, half-formed accusations, threats of, "We need to talk now," and long paragraphs from Patricia insisting I'd misunderstood everything. I didn't answer a single one. Finally, around 8 p.m., Patricia texted again. Patricia, Clara, please, this is out of hand. We need to talk. Me, agreed. Your son calling me a roommate he's financially tied to was definitely out of hand. Patricia, those messages were taken out of context. Me, what context makes she talks too much, or not the kind of woman I pictured for Caleb, acceptable? She didn't respond. Then Robert texted. Robert, you blindsided my son, that's low. Me, you uninvited me from a trip I helped plan, then spent 8 months talking trash about me in a chat labeled Real Family. I'd say we're even. Robert, you're being childish. Me, no, I'm being honest. Maybe you're not used to that. That shut him up. At 10 p.m., Caleb called again. This time I answered. Can we please talk like adults? He asked. His voice sounded scraped raw. Go ahead. I'm sitting in a hotel room alone. My parents won't talk to me. Lindsay won't even look at me. You. He exhaled, shaky. You ruined the whole trip. Well, I didn't ruin anything. I just forwarded your own words. Those messages weren't meant to be seen. Then maybe you shouldn't have written them. He groaned. Everyone vents, Clara. Everyone says things they don't mean when they're frustrated. For 8 months, I shot back. Come on. That's not fair. You keep saying not fair, but Caleb, nothing about this has been fair. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, quietly, I don't know what to do. My family is furious with me. Good, I said. They should be. Why are you saying that? Because you made me look like a joke to them for months. Now they know you did the same to them. Silence. Heavy. Thick. What does that mean? He whispered. It means, I said, you didn't just trash me. You trashed everyone. That's not... Check the screenshots, I interrupted. You talked about your mom's weight, your dad's drinking, Lindsay's job. You threw everyone under the bus. No, he breathed. They saw that? They saw the whole thing. More silence, then a soft, broken, "You're a monster." Maybe, I said, but I'm an honest one. He hung up. The rest of the week felt like watching a disaster movie through someone else's phone. On Tuesday, Caleb tried to join his family at the rental house. Robert stood in the driveway and told him to go back to his hotel. On Wednesday, Caleb texted me, "Hotel is $300 a night. Can you help out?" Me, no. On Thursday, he moved to a cheaper Airbnb on the opposite side of the island. He sent me a picture of the tiny room with a twin bed and a broken fan, followed by, "I'm completely alone. I don't deserve this." I didn't reply. On Friday, Robert finally agreed to meet him for coffee. Caleb texted afterward. He called me cruel. He said he raised me better. He didn't include what he said back. I didn't ask. On Saturday, Patricia sent me a long, rambling email about family dynamics, claiming she was sorry I saw the messages, not sorry she wrote them. I archived the email without replying. Caleb flew home. Sunday night. His parents and Lindsay stayed the rest of the week without him. They posted smiling vacation photos like nothing had happened, sunsets, shaved ice, snorkeling with turtles. Caleb texted me a screenshot of their photos with a single message. They replaced me. I wrote back, actions have consequences. When he finally walked through our apartment door, he looked smaller, thinner, eyes red, shoulders hunched like he'd been holding the weight of something too heavy for too long. "We need to talk," he said. His voice was sandpaper. "Okay." He sat on the couch. I stayed standing. "I'm sorry," he began, "for what I said, for how I talked about you. It was wrong." "Okay. That's it? Just okay?" "What do you want me to say?" I asked. "You spent months mocking me to your family. You uninvited me from a vacation we planned together. You made me feel like I didn't matter. An apology doesn't erase that." He swallowed hard. "I'm trying." "Are you? Or are you just sorry you got caught?" "That's not fair." "You keep using that word," I said quietly. "But Caleb, nothing about this has been fair." His eyes filled, not manipulation tears, not dramatic tears, real ones, painful ones. "I don't know how to fix this," he whispered. "Maybe you can't. So we're done?" His voice cracked. "I don't know," I said honestly, "but if you want to stay in this relationship, things have to change completely." He nodded, defeated. "I'll try," he whispered. "Trying isn't enough. Either do it or don't." He looked down at his hands. Okay. He didn't sleep in the bed that night. I didn't offer. Caleb slept on the couch that first night back. Not because I told him to, but because he didn't even try to come into the bedroom. I heard the soft click of the bathroom light at 2 a.m., the quiet shuffle of his footsteps, the rustle of blankets as he turned over restlessly. Every sound was a reminder of how things used to feel between us. Comfortable, predictable, safe. And how none of that was true anymore. The next morning I woke up to the smell of coffee. He'd made some. Not for me, just in general, like a normal morning routine he was trying to resurrect. He was sitting at the dining table, staring at his phone with hollow eyes. "They're not talking to me," he said without looking up. "Your family?" He gave a humorless laugh. "Who else?" I poured myself a cup of coffee, ignoring how his shoulders tensed when he realized I hadn't poured him one too. Once upon a time, that small gesture, me handing him a mug, meant comfort. Partnership. Now it would have felt like pretending. "What did you expect?" I asked. "You said things about them too." He closed his eyes, exhaling. "I know." Silence stretched between us. Not tense, just heavy. "We should maybe talk about next steps," he said finally. "Such as?" "I don't want to break up," he said. "I don't want to lose you." I watched him for a moment. The man in front of me looked older than he had a week ago, like the Maui sunlight had burned away the version of himself he'd been clinging to. "Then we're going to therapy," I said, weakly, "and you're going to show me, not just tell me, that something is changing." He nodded immediately, almost too quickly. "Okay, yeah, I'll do whatever." I didn't say anything. I just sipped my coffee and let the warmth steady me. "But Clara," he said quietly, "please don't break up with me." "I'm not making promises," I said, and his face fell in a way that told me he'd expected that. The first therapy session was awkward. Caleb sat with his knee bouncing, hands clenched, eyes darting to me, like he wasn't sure where to begin. I sat still, back straight, fingers interlocked. Our therapist, a calm woman named Dr. Meredith, looked between us. "So, tell me what brought you here." Caleb's voice cracked on the first word. "My family hates me." "It's deeper than that," I cut in. "It's about why." He flinched, not from the words, but from the truth behind them. Dr. Meredith nodded. "Clara, what do you feel is the central issue?" I hesitated. The central issue felt like 1,000 small cuts that had finally bled out. "My partner let everyone around him disrespect me," I said. "And he joined them." Caleb's face crumpled. Clara, I didn't think it mattered. It was just..." "Jokes?" I said sharply. "Venting? Whether you meant them or not, they show how you really saw me." He opened his mouth, but Dr. Meredith lifted a hand. "Caleb, let her finish." I took a slow breath. "He said to his sister that sometimes he looks at me and feels nothing. That I'm like a roommate he's tied to financially. He joked about why he was with me. His family laughed." Caleb buried his face in his hands. I know, I'm an asshole." "It's not about being an asshole," I said. "It's about respect and trust, and the fact that I don't know if I believe anything you say to my face anymore." His breath hitched, a quiet, shaky inhale. Dr. Meredith nodded slowly. "And Caleb, what do you need to say to Clara?" His voice was thin. "I didn't mean half of it." "Which half?" I asked softly. He shook his head helplessly. "I was trying to fit in," he said. "They complain about everyone, each other, friends, co-workers. It's how they talk. And I didn't want to be the weird one who doesn't play along. So you made me the punchline," I said. He swallowed hard. "Yes." We sat with that, the truth hanging there, raw and undeniable. Dr. Meredith finally said, "Caleb, what would rebuilding trust look like?" He wiped his eyes with the heel of his palm. "I'll leave the group chats in," he said. "All of them. Not just the family one. I'll stop trashing people behind their backs. I'll actually try to stand up for Clara instead of making her the safe target." "And what else?" Dr. Meredith prompted gently. He looked at me then, really looked. "I'll listen," he whispered. The next few weeks passed in fragments. His family stayed silent, completely. Robert sent one text, "I need time." Patricia called once, talking in circles about perspective and misunderstandings, then hung up when Caleb said he wasn't ready to talk. Lindsay never unblocked him. Caleb was quieter now, more observant. He didn't make snide comments, didn't roll his eyes when I asked something, didn't deflect or minimize. He wasn't perfect, not by a long shot, but the absence of the old Caleb was noticeable. He stopped joking about coworkers in group chats. I saw him leave 3 different group threads while we were sitting on the couch one night. He even showed me, unprompted. "I didn't realize how much negativity I was swimming in," he told me. "It's like you're normalizing toxicity without noticing." I believed he meant it. Believing it would last was harder. Sometimes things felt almost normal between us. Making dinner together, watching a show, sitting close enough that our knees touched. And then I would remember one of the screenshots, one specific sentence. Sometimes I look at her and feel nothing, and it was like touching a bruise that hadn't healed. One night, 3 weeks after Maui, I caught him watching me while I brushed my teeth. He looked soft, almost hopeful. "What?" I asked, spitting into the sink. "Nothing," he said quickly, then added, You look like someone I don't deserve." I didn't know what to say to that, so I didn't. 6 weeks after the Maui blow-up, Dr. Meredith asked us in therapy, "Clara, do you feel things are improving?" "Yes," I said honestly, "but I'm not sure if improving is enough." Caleb looked like someone had pulled the floor from under him, but he didn't interrupt. "I'm stronger now than I was before," I said. "I'm not desperate to keep the peace anymore. I see what the truth looks like, and I can't unsee it." Caleb bowed his head. Dr. Meredith turned to him. "And Caleb, what do you feel?" "That I'm afraid," he whispered. "Afraid I wrecked something I won't get back. Afraid that the trust is gone forever. Afraid she's halfway out the door and just hasn't said it yet." I looked at him then, really looked. He wasn't wrong. But he wasn't entirely right either. "I haven't decided anything," I said quietly. He nodded, tears slipping down his face. "I know," he whispered, "and I'm trying. I swear I'm trying." For the first time in a long time, I believed the trying. But I also knew that trying wasn't a guarantee. Some things break clean. Others fracture in ways you can't see until much later. And Caleb and we were somewhere in between. 6 weeks. That's how long it had been since Maui exploded, since Caleb's family detonated their own group chat and I stopped pretending I didn't hear the ticking of something broken between us. 6 weeks can feel like a blink, or like an entire era. For us, it felt like both. We still lived together, still shared a closet, still defaulted to the same grocery routines, me getting vegetables and Caleb grabbing the pantry basics without asking. Old rhythms don't disappear easily, even when the emotions underneath are shifting like sand under waves. But nothing was the same. On a quiet Wednesday evening, Caleb walked through the door, holding a white paper bag from our favorite Thai place. He didn't say anything dramatic, didn't plead or gesture or hover. He just put the takeout on the table and said softly, "I thought you might want dinner." That was the new version of him. Quiet, careful, gentle in ways I hadn't asked for but noticed. We ate in silence for a few minutes before he finally said, "My dad emailed me." I looked up. "What did he say?" He said, Caleb swallowed hard. "He said you were right to send the screenshots, and that he's sorry for how they treated you, and for how he raised me to think venting is the same as bonding." I blinked, slowly. "Can I see it?" He slid his phone toward me. The email was short, shockingly short, given the catastrophe that had unfolded. "Caleb, you were right to send those screenshots. I'm sorry we treated Clara that way. I need time to process things. Dad." 4 lines, no embellishment, no excuses. I exhaled, not relief exactly, but acknowledgement. "He regrets it," Caleb said quietly. "I know. And he regrets what he taught me, about how to talk about people." "That's good," I said. "It matters." Caleb nodded, "But I know it doesn't fix anything." He'd learned not to reach for easy resolutions. Therapy had drilled that into him quickly, that apologies weren't magic wands. "Patricia hasn't said anything, though," he added. I nodded. That didn't surprise me. "And Lindsay?" He gave a humorless laugh. "Still blocked. Everywhere." "Maybe that's for the best." His eyes lifted to mine just for a moment. Yeah, he whispered. Maybe. Later that night, I stood at the sink, rinsing bowls while Caleb dried them. It felt domestic in a way that reminded me of better years. He handed me a plate to rinse. I left those group chats, he said. All of them. Even the one with my old college friends. I raised an eyebrow. Why? They were toxic, he said simply, and I used them to feel funny, clever, superior. I don't want to be that person anymore. He was doing the work. That much was obvious. But doing the work wasn't the same thing as rebuilding trust. I turned off the water and leaned against the counter. Caleb, when you wrote those things about me, did you mean them? His breath caught. He gripped the towel in both hands like he needed something to hang on to. Yes, he whispered, and no. That's not an answer. I know. He closed his eyes. I didn't mean them the way they came out. But I said what I thought my family wanted to hear, what I thought would make them accept me. So insulting me was the price of being accepted? Yes, he opened his eyes, and that's the part I'm ashamed of. I felt something twist in my chest, mourning, anger, exhaustion. Caleb, if you can talk about me like that to fit in, what happens the next time someone expects you to throw me under the bus? He stepped closer but didn't touch me. That's why I'm in therapy, he said. So I don't do that again. So I stop being that person. His voice cracked. Clara, I'm changing. I swear I am. I see that, I said quietly. I do. But, he whispered, but I don't know if it's enough. He nodded slowly, accepted it, didn't fight. That alone showed how much he had changed. A week later in therapy, Dr. Meredith posed a question that unexpectedly gutted me. Clara, she said gently, what would forgiveness look like for you? I stared at the carpet for a long time. I don't think forgiveness is a switch, I said finally. It's not something I decide in one moment. It's something that happens slowly, if it happens at all. And even then, it won't erase what he said. Caleb wiped his eyes silently. Dr. Meredith turned to him. Caleb, what do you hear her saying? That she's trying, he whispered. But she's still hurt, and she's allowed to be. And? He took a slow breath. And it's not her job to make me feel better. I felt something soften inside me. Not trust, not yet, but respect for his humility. That's right, Dr. Meredith said. Trust has to be earned back, not demanded. Caleb nodded, wiping his face again. And Clara, she continued gently, what are you afraid of? I met Caleb's eyes. I'm afraid, I said, that I'll stay because I'm used to staying, and not because I believe he'll treat me better. He inhaled sharply like the words punched him. I don't want that either, he whispered. If you stay, I want it to be because you want to, not because it's easier. His voice was trembling, but steady in intention. After therapy, we walked home together in quiet. The wind was cool, carrying the smell of rain. Caleb shoved his hands in his pockets, shoulders a little hunched. Halfway down the block, he said, I miss you. Not the roommate version of us. Us. The way it used to be. I looked at him, studying the man beside me. I miss that too, I admitted. He swallowed, eyes hopeful and hollow at the same time. Does that mean we're okay? I shook my head gently. No, it means we're trying. We reached the crosswalk. He stepped aside to let a couple with a stroller pass, and for a moment he looked almost like the Caleb I used to know, soft-eyed, warm, earnest. You're different now, I said. He froze. In a good way or a bad way? In a real way, I said. You're not hiding behind them, or behind jokes, or behind what you think people expect you to say. He nodded slowly, processing it. And you, he said quietly, you're stronger now. I had to be. A long silence, then almost a whisper. Do you think we can get back to what we were? I considered it. No, I said. We can't go back. But maybe we can build something new, something honest. His eyes softened, a spark of hope, small but real. I'd like that, he said. So would I admitted. We walked the rest of the way home without speaking, but something between us felt not healed, not fixed, but open. And sometimes open is enough for now. I wasn't the same woman who tolerated quiet disrespect because it was easier than confronting it. I wasn't the version of myself who tried to earn a place in someone else's family at the expense of my own dignity. That Clara was gone. The new me didn't ignore red flags. She didn't shrink herself to fit a narrative someone else wrote. She didn't need permission to leave or to stay.